A bell from the future. If the end of the world comes, it may not arrive with blaring sirens or deafening explosions. It might come with a single press of a button, small silent, where someone, somewhere in a sealed control room, decides that millions of lives no longer matter. But what if at that very moment, an invisible hand intervenes? For decades, researchers, former military officers, and even civilian witnesses have recounted strange events, missiles that refused to launch, weapon systems that mysteriously shut down, or glowing lights appearing in the sky just as war seemed imminent. These events, strangely enough, almost always occurred at major nuclear bases and were consistently accompanied by unidentified flying objects. People once mocked such claims, but time passed and classified files were declassified. Under the dim light of truth, a terrifying question emerged. Could it be that some non-human force is preventing us from destroying ourselves? The sound of intervention. The story begins in 1967 at Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana, USA. Lieutenant Robert Salas, highly trained to oversee nuclear-armed intercontinental ballistic missiles, was stationed underground in the control center. Suddenly, he received a frantic call from a security guard on the surface. "Sir, there's something flying above the base. It's glowing red, it's hovering, and it's completely silent." Salas tried to stay calm. A UFO. During the Cold War, that term came with ridicule and skepticism, but moments later, alarms blared. 10 nuclear missiles had simultaneously gone offline. That simply couldn't happen unless some incredibly powerful, extraordinary force had infiltrated one of America's most secure systems and disabled its nuclear strike capabilities. And this wasn't the only incident. A silent war behind the Iron Curtain. On the other side of the Iron Curtain in the former Soviet Union, similar stories emerged. In 1982, at a military base in Ukraine, Soviet officers received a chilling alert. The control system showed that nuclear missiles had entered launch mode, even though no one in the control room had touched anything. Chaos erupted. But before the launch sequence could complete, the system suddenly shut down, as if someone had pulled the plug. An officer later recalled, "I felt like something was watching us, a power not of this world." Internal reports described strange lights in the night sky, silent flying objects moving in ways that defied physics, hovering, then vanishing. These accounts weren't written in official reports, but over the years they started aligning eerily. Those who knew, those who hid. After the Cold War ended, numerous documents were declassified, many investigating UFO phenomena near nuclear facilities. One of the most shocking came from the Pentagon, titled "Malfunctions of Nuclear Weapons Related to Unidentified Flying Objects." It listed over 60 incidents between the 1950s and 1990s in which UFOs were sighted at or near nuclear bases, each accompanied by unexplained technical failures. That led to a disturbing question. Is there another intelligence watching over us, deciding when we're allowed to touch divine fire? Warning from the control room. In September 1980, at Ellsworth Air Force Base, South Dakota, nicknamed the Nuclear Heart of America, a team of military engineers was running routine tests on the Minuteman missile system. Everything proceeded normally until radar screens reported a strange object hovering 150 meters above a missile silo. Security was dispatched. They saw something unforgettable. A soft orange orb drifting quietly over the launch pads, almost as if inspecting them. Moments later, 4 missiles went offline. There was no breach, no mechanical failure, no computer virus, since the system wasn't even connected to a network back then. There was only the presence of something beyond military understanding. What stunned investigators even more was that the object left no radar signature, no air disturbance, and disappeared as quickly as it came. Some officers later described it as a warning from a higher intelligence. Scripture angels and light in the sky. Interestingly, the idea of beings from the heavens intervening in human affairs is not new. It's been recorded for millennia in ancient scripture. In the book of Daniel, the prophet describes a daytime vision. "I saw 4 winds of heaven stirring up the great sea, and 4 great beasts came up out of the sea. Daniel 7. Modern scholars argue that these visions may reflect intersections between realities between heaven and earth, between humanity and celestial messengers. Likewise, in the book of Ezekiel, there's a description of a wheel within a wheel shining like jewels moving through the sky with the energy of divine wind. Their appearance and structure was as if a wheel were within a wheel. Wherever the spirit would go, the creatures went, and the wheels rose along with them. Ezekiel chapter 1, 15-21. Some 20th century researchers have suggested these descriptions match modern accounts of UFOs almost exactly. Could it be that if God once sent messengers of light to Earth, then some UFO interventions at nuclear bases may be of a theological nature, not to conquer, not to destroy, but to protect, where weapons meet the divine? One of the most remarkable incidents occurred in 1975 at Loring Air Force Base, Maine, home to strategic nuclear bombs always ready for launch. One October night, radar operators detected a low-flying, unidentified object near the bomb storage area. It ignored radio calls. F-106 fighters scrambled but couldn't catch up. The object moved faster than any known aircraft. Then silence. Weeks later, the exact same event happened at Wurtsmith Air Force Base, Michigan. Then at Minot AFB, North Dakota. Internal Air Force reports recorded unidentified flying objects approaching nuclear warhead bunkers with anomalous flight paths. And yet nothing ever exploded. No one was harmed. No systems were destroyed. Every appearance seemed like a quiet message. We are here. We are watching. And we will not let you destroy yourselves. Cosmic orders. For years, incidents involving UFOs at nuclear facilities were kept in the top-secret category. Witnesses such as Lieutenant Robert Salas, Colonel Charles Halt, and even Soviet officer Stanislav Petrov, the man who refused to follow nuclear launch protocol during a false missile warning, all tell a common story. Whenever humanity came close to a fatal mistake, something was there, something observing, something intervening. Salas said, "We were ordered never to speak. But over time, I could no longer remain silent. What I witnessed may be humanity's last chance to realize we are not alone. And perhaps we are being watched." Petrov recounted the fateful night in 1983 when Soviet early warning systems reported 5 incoming nuclear missiles from the US. He was supposed to report them immediately and initiate retaliation. But he didn't. Why, I don't know. A feeling. Something whispered to me, "Don't press the button." It was later confirmed to be a satellite malfunction caused by sunlight reflection, and if Petrov had followed the protocol, the world might not exist today. We are children with matches. There's an old saying, if the gods exist, they don't need to judge us, they just wait for us to destroy ourselves. But perhaps these gods don't merely observe. Perhaps they're quietly removing the match from the child's hand before it burns down the house. Dr. Jacques Vallée, a renowned scientist and former NASA consultant, was among the first to suggest that UFOs may not come from other planets, but from parallel dimensions where time, matter, and consciousness work differently. According to Vallée, what ancient scriptures call angels, Hinduism calls devas, and Islamic teachings call jinn, may all be manifestations of the same ancient intelligence. These beings don't communicate through language or technology, but through actions, disabling nuclear missile systems, appearing as brilliant lights at moments of crisis, disappearing without a trace. Some modern theologians have gone further. Perhaps they are the heavenly hosts, the army of the Lord sent to stop humanity from crossing its final moral line. The Great Contact Buried. In 2001, Washington, D.C. hosted an event that shook the world, the Disclosure Project. Over 20 high-level military witnesses, pilots, radar technicians, intelligence officers stood in front of cameras and publicly declared the U.S. government is hiding the existence of UFOs, especially incidents involving nuclear weapons. One of the key speakers, Dr. Stephen Greer, stated, We have undeniable evidence that UFOs have deactivated nuclear missiles in both the United States and Russia. This is not a coincidence. They are sending a message. And what is that message? Don't cross the line. Don't commit collective suicide. This planet doesn't belong only to you. The event was filmed and broadcasted online. Though major media ignored it, the internet awakened millions. So why hasn't there been an official announcement? Because according to researchers, the presence of such forces threatens global power structures. If there is a power capable of disabling the world's most advanced weaponry, then who really holds control on the edge of light? Once we believed Earth was the center of the universe. Then we learned we were just a speck of dust among billions of galaxies. Today, after hundreds of nuclear incidents, hundreds of credible military testimonies, and thousands of declassified documents, we're forced to ask, are we still allowed to believe we are alone? And if we are not alone, then who is with us? What do they want, and why do they care about stopping nuclear war? A compelling theory comes from biblical scholars. In the final days, the gates between heaven and earth will open. The Watchers will reveal themselves, not to punish, but to warn. Maybe these nuclear events are not just military or technological issues. They are moral trials for all of humanity. And each time we stand at the edge of destruction, some light, silent but powerful, pulls us back. The moment before oblivion. In 1995, the world almost ended, and few people even knew. A Norwegian research team launched a weather rocket, but Russia's early warning system mistook it for a US nuclear missile. Red alert. President Boris Yeltsin, for the first time in history, opened Russia's nuclear briefcase, the Cheget, to consider launching a full-scale retaliation. Millions of lives, thousands of years of civilization hung on his decision in just a few minutes. Then the alert was canceled. Secondary radar systems confirmed the rocket was not heading toward Russia. The launch was called off. What happened? Later reports included a redacted section labeled Temporary Electromagnetic Disturbance Unexplained. Radar operators said they saw a green light in the northern sky lasting just seconds, right before the backup systems came back online. Was that a natural phenomenon or a supernatural intervention? A voice from above and the great question. There may be no absolute proof, but across hundreds of incidents from the US to Russia, Israel to Pakistan, one pattern is clear. Whenever humanity nears extinction, something appears. A US Navy officer once said, "If you lived under the ocean and saw a great ship pass above, you'd feel its waves but never understand it." Maybe we're just creatures at the bottom of a much greater reality. Perhaps that's true. We don't fully understand the Bible, we don't fully grasp quantum physics, and we certainly don't understand the sky's silent mysteries. The question is no longer, do they exist, but rather, why haven't they left us? Why, despite all our mistakes and sins, do they continue to intervene gently, secretly, to save us from ourselves? Perhaps as Psalm 91:11 says, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Conclusion. The Last Guardians. If you look back through human history, wars, genocides, weapons of mass destruction, you'll face a chilling truth. We have stood on the brink of extinction many times, but if you believe in God or even simply in a higher good, you'll see another, quieter truth. We are still here. Somehow across millennia, through countless chances for collapse, human civilization continues. Not without scars, but still with hope. And perhaps, every time the ground shakes with human foolishness, there is someone above silently watching, standing between us and destruction. They don't need wings. They don't appear in divine fire. They just shut down a system. Pull a plug. Blur a signal. Just enough to delay doomsday one more time. And when darkness falls upon the earth, those who believe in God or simply in light may whisper a prayer, "Let your eyes continue to watch over us," and if needed, send them again.